What's up, everybody? It is the best spot, Kid Smooth, and I am back with another video. Today I want to talk about two subjects. First, today we're going to start with the Medium. The new Xbox Series X exclusives come in, I believe, later this year, exclusively to the Xbox Series X and Windows PC. And they're in the news today because they recently had an interview with Larry Herbs, Major Nelson from Xbox Live, doing their typical blog posting about like what it's like developing for the Xbox Series X, and the blooper team talk very extensively about their upcoming game and how they're able to leverage the Xbox Series X. And some things about this interview have people questioning whether if this game is going to be running higher than 30 frames per second. They ask them the typical questions of how will these enhancements impact the players playing on a medium, what excites you most about developing the medium, what excites you about developing and bringing the medium to life on the next generation hardware. Every question they asked about the medium and the Xbox Series X's GPU, CPU, and SSD, they've commented more about stuff like load times and seamless transition, cinematics, and 4K resolution and ray tracing, but no mention of the buttery smooth 60 frames per second. Now, just to give you guys a heads up, you guys know me, I've been saying, hey, the Xbox Series X will have more games running at 60 frames and 120 frames per second. When you look at the Xbox Series X build, it seemed like it was a console designed to get games running at a standard of 60 frames per second, and it looks like a lot of these developers are still sticking to last gen habits with their cinematic feel. So I personally still believe the Xbox Series X will have more 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second games in the PlayStation 5, but unfortunately it's going to have its fair share of 30 frames per second. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you're not alone. The Medium will probably join you. Now, this all could change because there hasn't been no confirmation. Nobody from Blooper Team has actually come out and said, hey, our game's running at 30 frames per second, It's just a lack of not saying the game is 60 frames per second. It's what's got us believing that the game's going to be 30 frames per second. And then the Xbox has been very helpful with their optimized games for the Series X. When you go to the game side of things, when you're on the Xbox Series X page, they have the list of games that are optimized for the Series X currently, and most of these pages tell you exactly what the optimizations are. And when you look at the Medium's optimizations, the only thing that's highlighted under the Medium is 4K Ultra HD and ray tracing. So there's no mention of 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second. When you go to other games like the Accent or Dirt 5, Memory Infinite, when you go to those pages, it highlights the higher frame rates. They'll say 60 frames or 120 frames in the optimization list. Both are completely lacking on the Medium's page, so which is a bit unfortunate. This game is going to be available on PC, and you could probably have a PC that is weaker than the Xbox Series X, and you probably have it running at 60 frames per second. And that's my little beef with these games. The Xbox Series X is a beast. The CPU it's a top of the line CPU that it has in that damn system. It's clocked very well. So the fact that, you know, some of these games won't be hitting that 60 frames per second mark is a bit, you know, annoying. So that's my L of the day. I mean, I thought this game would do it, but we still got to hear from the developers themselves, so I'm not ready to count it out. But I'm still looking forward to the Medium and see what it does on Xbox Series X, and see how good this ray tracing is and how good the graphics is. Remember, we got this, the trailer was not gameplay, it was more cinematics, more like cutscenes and maybe in-engine stuff. So hopefully maybe we will see them at the Xbox first party event. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is next gen pricing. 2K, NBA 2K21 and its pre-order page and their pre-order plans and release plans for the new basketball giant might have just revealed next generation pricing. Now, if you guys want to know like what's going on with next generation pricing, if you guys remember back in the PS2 days, Xbox days, and GameCube days, that 2001 to 2005 games, AAA releases were $49.99. $50 was the standard price, and I think when they ushered in the Xbox 360 and PS3, prices went up to $59.99. Now, Microsoft kept their first party titles at $49.99 for about maybe the first full year of the Xbox 360 life cycle before it transitioned to that $59.99 standard. But ever since then, games have been $59.99. Now, games were rumored and projected to go up over the course of years, but the crazy thing is that was 2005. Prices for video games have remained the same for 15 years, while other mediums have increased. Cable TVs, all sorts of things have increased, gone through the roof, and have increased over like 100% since then. And while the gaming medium has remained the same, absolutely flat. So though I'm not surprised that the gaming pricing is going up, it does make me think about Xbox's push and how Microsoft has been ahead of the curve with this. Microsoft knew, obviously, they're a big publisher in the gaming, that the pricing would go up to $70 or somewhere, that it was going to increase, that the $60 price tag that we've been looking at would no longer be the standard. And they were trying to prepare us for that by pretty much introducing Xbox Game Pass, paying a subscription fee, because games individually are going to get even more expensive. If we want these crazy blockbuster AAA experiences, they're costing a lot to do. They're exceeding movie budgets, and they're only charging you $60 for the game, and it's kind of hard to justify a $120 game or a $200 game that you bought on a $400 console. Like, it is hard to do that. So how can gaming catch up? So gaming, of course, they're gonna, whether it be loot boxes and DLC and emotes and all this other stuff to kind of create ongoing revenue from a game you only buy once. There's so many methods that they've been trying, but you look at ways other than that. You increase the game, you put out all these crazy editions, super limited special edition, and it's $120 or $160. Hell, I've seen $200 special editions that come with little plastic statues and whatnot. So it was inevitable. I'm not surprised, but when you think about what Xbox has been doing over the past couple years, and then taking a big emphasis on smart delivery. And why do they keep talking about smart delivery? Because next generation games are going to cost more than what we are used to. So it's good now that they're hammering, hey, smart delivery. You buy this game for $60 on your Xbox One, you don't have to worry about paying an upgrade fee on your Xbox Series X. That's why they're pushing this message. And then you also have things like Game Pass, where you're not paying $60-$70 for these games. The games go in Game Pass, you're paying $10 to $15 a month depending on your Game Pass subscription. Some of you are regular Game Pass users, some of us are Game Pass Ultimate users, and you pay $15 a month for that, and you get access to many games, a lot of every Xbox first party game, and many third party partners, games from Bethesda, 2K, Rockstar, Square Enix, Capcom. And if prices are going, if $70 is going to be the standard over the next generation, then Game Pass is going to look a lot more valuable and lucrative. And the Xbox is kind of in the driver's seat entering the next generation. So I'm curious to see where the pricing of Xbox Series X and their Lockhart system come in at, because if games are going to be $70 a pop, I mean, and then you're looking at the consoles, it's going to be a harder buy-in. So I'm going to see how this turns out. But if 2K is going to be the first team, the first publishers to reveal their game prices for next generation, you know who's shortly after. EA isn't afraid to charge $70 for their games now that 2K, their biggest competitors, doing it. You gotta look at Square Enix, Ubisoft, Bethesda, everyone. 2K is the leader. They have the biggest customer base. So if you think this is exclusive to 2K, you're sadly mistaken. And hopefully Microsoft signs up a whole bunch of third-party partners for Game Pass, because a lot of these games are going to be relying on Game Pass, because I don't see myself buying too many games day one at $69.99, and this is where Game Pass come in clutch. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you ready for this new $70 standard for video games for your Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5? How will this impact smart games, smart delivery, and your upgrades? And your thoughts on the medium potentially being a paltry 30 frames per second. As always, Xbox is the best box. I am the best bot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Good night or good morning if you're on the other side of the globe. I'm out of here. Peace.